Hello and welcome to DevWave Diaries. If you're ready to level up your web design skills, you've come to the perfect place. In today's video, I'll show you how to create this type of card hover animation to create visually stunning, interactive designs. Let's get into it. First, start by creating a div with the class name container. Inside this container div, add another div with the class name card. Within the card div, create another div with the class name image. Inside this image div, add an image tag and set its src attribute to the image file. Lastly, inside the card div, add an h2 tag and set a heading text of your choice. For example, I write MC Laren P1, which is a supercar name. Now, duplicate the card div 2 more times. To do this quickly, select the entire card div and press Alt plus Shift plus down arrow. Next, update both the src attributes of the image tags and the text in the h2 tags for the next two card divs. Use different images for each card, and add unique headings in the h2 tags to give each card its own title. That's all the HTML code we need for now. Next, let's move on to the CSS to style our layout. Now, let's set up the CSS boilerplate, set margin and padding to 0 for all elements to remove any default spacing around them. Next, set box sizing to border box to make width and height calculations include padding and borders. Finally, apply a font family of sans serif for a clean and modern text appearance across the entire page. Next, let's style the HTML and body elements. Set their width and height to 100% to make sure they cover the full viewport. Then, apply a background color of #111 for a dark, sleek look across the page. Now, let's style the container div. Set its width to 100% and height to 100 VH to make it fill the full viewport height. Use display, flex to align its child elements in a row. Then, set justify content to center and align items to center so that everything is centered both horizontally and vertically. Finally, add a gap of 6 rem to create space between each card. Next, let's style the card div. Set its position to relative to enable positioning of any child elements if needed. Set the width to 20 rem and the height to 27 rem to define its size. Finally, apply a cursor of pointer to indicate that the card is interactive and can be hovered. Now, if you open the browser, you may notice that the car images are sticking together, and the cards are not visible because the images are overflowing their containers. Next, let's style the image div. Set its position to absolute and use Inset 0 to position it within the card div, making it fill the entire area. Apply a background color of #222 for a darker contrast and add a border radius of 20 pixel to give it rounded corners. Now, let's style the image tag within the image div. Set its position to absolute and both top and left to 0 so that it covers the entire area of the image div. Set the width and height to 100% to ensure it fills the container completely. Use ObjectFit cover to maintain the aspect ratio while covering the area. Add a border radius of 20 pixel for rounded corners and a transition of 0.5 second to create a smooth effect for any changes, like hover effects. Open the browser, you will see that all the cards are displayed properly. The images are contained within their respective card divs, ensuring a clean and organized layout. Next, let's add a style for the image tag when the card is hovered. Set its opacity to 0 to make the image disappear on hover, creating a smooth transition effect that reveals any content or background beneath it. Now, return to your HTML code. Before the h2 tag inside each card div, add a new image tag with the class 3D. Set its src attribute to the location of the next image file. Repeat this process for the other two cards to ensure each one has its own 3D image. Next, let's move back to our CSS file. Now, let's add styles to the 3D image. Set its position to absolute to allow for precise placement within the card. Additionally, set its width to 25 rem. Open the browser, you will see that all the second images, which are the 3D images, are positioned on top of each card. Next, let's add transform, translate y0, to ensure it starts from its original position. Set a transition of 0.5 second for smooth animations. Increase the z-index to 100 to ensure it appears above other elements, and set opacity to 0 to make it initially invisible. Open the browser, you will notice that the second images, which are the 3D images, have become invisible. Next, let's add a hover effect for the 3D image when the card is hovered. Set its opacity to 1 to make it fully visible. Additionally, use transform, translate, -25%, -10%, to shift the image slightly to the left and up, creating a dynamic effect that enhances the user experience. Now, if you open the browser and hover over the card, you'll see that the card image becomes invisible while the 3D image moves to the top left corner of the card. This creates an amazing hover effect. Next, let's style the H2 tag inside the card div. Set its position to absolute so that it can be precisely placed within the card. Define its width as 80%. Position it 10 pixels from the bottom and 70% from the left to align it nicely within the card, creating a visually appealing layout. After that, let's add padding to 5px for vertical spacing and 20px for horizontal spacing. Add a border radius 10 pixels for rounded corner. Apply a background color of #20382F for contrast and set the text color to #FFF for readability. Use a font size of 1.75 rem and a font weight of 500 to enhance the text's prominence. Center the text with text align, center and add a letter spacing of 0.05 rem for improved readability. Finally, apply transform, translate x, -50%, to center the element horizontally and add a transition of 0.5 second for smooth changes. Now, if you open the browser, you will see that the H2 tags are positioned at the bottom right corner of each card. Next, let's set the opacity of the H2 tag to 0. This will make the text initially invisible. Now, let's add a style for the H2 tag when the card is hovered. Set its bottom property to 30 pixels to move it up slightly and change its opacity to 1 to make the text fully visible. This creates a smooth transition effect, drawing attention to the heading as the user hovers over the card. Next, let's change the background color of the heading in the second card. Use the selector.card nthchild, 2, H2 to target the H2 tag specifically in the second card. Set its background color to #E1C80B to give it a different color. Now, copy the code we just wrote and change the nthchild, 2, selector to nthchild, 3, to target the heading in the third card. Update the background color to red to give it a bold and vibrant appearance. Open the browser and hover over the cards, you will see that the original image of the card becomes invisible, revealing a different car image that appears in the top left corner. Additionally, the text will smoothly transition into view at the bottom right corner of each card. This creates a dynamic and engaging hover effect that enhances the overall user experience. If you enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful, please give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to stay updated with all our latest content. Your support helps us create more exciting and valuable videos. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode of DevWave Diaries.